The useMemo hook is the most important hook in React when it comes to optimizing values. And in this video, I'll teach you everything that you need to know about the useMemo hook so that you can start using it in your React application to optimize values. useMemo hook is so similar with the use callback hook. They are both used to improve performance in React applications. The only difference being that the use callback hook usually returns an optimized function, while the useMemo hook usually returns a memoized value or an optimized value. So let's see the application that we have here, and we'll see the problems that we are having, and then we'll try to make them better by making use of the useMemo hook. So right here, we are printing the last number of an array of numbers, okay? And then right here we have a count button. This just increments the count. And then here we have another button which changes the size of an array. And when we change the size of an array, we will reprint the number here for the last value. So whenever I click on count, you will notice that it takes some time before it updates. And whenever I click, it takes a few seconds before it updates to 2. So there is something wrong happening here. And right here, whenever we change the size, it also takes some time before it updates this value and also this value here. So you'll notice that the entire of our application is slow. So let's take a look at the code and we'll see the reasons why this application is so slow. So right here, we have this handle count, which is being called by this particular button whenever we click it, and all it's doing is incrementing the count. So very simple right there. And then here we have this other function which is being called by this change array size function, and all it's doing, it is setting a random array size. Okay, everything looks good there as well. Now here we have this function, and this function, what it is doing, it is creating an array depending on the array size that we have right here. And apart from that, it is also getting the last number in that particular array. And finally, it is returning that number. And we print that on the screen right here. Okay, so we get it here. So right here is where our issue is. This is a very heavy computation that is happening right here, because it will create an array from 1 up to this array size, and to begin with, the array size is 100 million. It will create an array with a size of 100 million, going through each number and adding it to our big array right here. So this loop is a very heavy computation that is happening, and then also when getting the last number, we are also performing a very heavy computation right here, because we are going through each number. And at the end of it all, when we get to the very last number, we will update our variable here and return it right here. So this is also a very heavy computation, because it is going through 100 million items and then returning the very last one right here. And that is why our app is very slow, because whenever we change the count, our app will re-render, and meaning that this heavy computation will happen each time, and therefore it will take some time before it updates our UI. It has to go through all those items before it updates our UI. The same thing happens right here with this other button. Whenever we change the array size, it will go through all these items, create a new array, and get the last number before it updates the UI. So you see the issue that we are having. So how can we make this better with the useMemo hook? So the useMemo hook work in a similar way as the use callback hook. So the first thing that we will do, we will just import useMemo like that. And then we need to wrap our function right here with the useMemo hook. So right here, we'll say useMemo, and then we will invoke right here and make sure to close the bracket at the end here. So useMemo hook accepts 2 parameters. The first one is a function, and we are now already passing a function right there. And then the second one is an array of dependencies, just like the use callback hook. And once we do this, what useMemo will do is that it will return a value, a memoized value, and it will only recalculate this particular value if our dependencies changes. Okay, so right now we are not adding any dependencies, and let's see what we have if we don't add any dependencies. Okay, let's save this one. But we have one issue. Because useMemo returns a value, now this will no longer be a function. We should not like call it like this. So we should remove this call to this last number, because this last number is now just a value. So I'll go ahead and save, and let's refresh here. Whenever we click on count, you'll notice that count updates very fast. Very nice. So basically, our count functionality have been optimized by making use of the useMemo, because this the last number is not being called on every re-render, which is good. And then we have this change array size. Change array size is fast, but you'll notice that it is not affecting our last number right here. But whenever we change the array size, we should also print out the last number of that array. The issue is we didn't pass a dependency to our useMemo hook right here, because this useMemo depends on this array size. So here we should pass our array size for this to work well. Array size there, and then I save. What will happen now is whenever we change the array size, useMemo will recalculate our last number. But if we don't change the array size, useMemo will not recalculate this function, but just return the previous value, which is same as the current value. So let's now see if this works. I refresh again. Count updates very fast. Very nice. Now when we change the array, this takes some time, but not too much time, and it updates right here. We click on change here. It takes some time, and it updates here. So our count is optimized, but change array size also takes some time, because that makes sense. This recalculation will happen again whenever we change the size. So this being slow makes sense, because it is changing the array size, and useMemo depends on array size. So whenever array size changes, this calculation happens again. But the good thing is the rest part of our application, if we had any other feature in this application, they would also be optimized, like this button right here. So that is the work of the useMemo hook, to return an optimized value or a memoized value. And in most cases, you might not need to do so. So I recommend to make use of the useMemo hook whenever you see your app is getting sluggish and you have some heavy computation happening. And then in that case, you can try to make use of the useMemo hook to optimize your React application. So that is all about the useMemo hook. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a thumbs up. And also, to learn more about the other React hooks, you'll check a playlist link at the description section below. So I'll see you in the next one.